Hello, Ken Heaston, Ozark Country Homestead. Down here at the creek, and you know I love these Ozark streams and fishing these streams for smallmouth bass and panfish and sometimes even trout. And I've always enjoyed using a small spinning rod with ultralight setup, ultralight line and small beetle spins. They really work great. But I also love to use fly rod and fly equipment. So we're going to get the fly rod out this year and give it a redo. You know, several years ago, a friend of mine showed me how to fly fish, and I loved it. I went out and bought my own fly rod outfit, set it all up, and used it for quite a number of years like that. But recently, when I got it out for the season, the fly line was starting to get pretty old. And a young friend of mine really wanted to learn how to fly fish, so I took the reel and line off, set it up on another fly pole, gave it to him to practice with. So I picked out the pole that I have now, especially because I really love it. It's an Eagle Claw 8-foot rod, and so I just kept the pole. And what I'm going to do today is set it up with a new reel, new line, all the way down to the leader and the tippet, and show you just exactly how to set one up so that it works great. So this is my favorite pole. As I told you, it's a Sweetheart Eagle Claw. I'll get it around here where you can see it. It's a really nice rod, has a great action. And what I wanted to show you is a lot of poles right here on the pole say what kind of line to use. This one uses 6 to 7 line. So what we're going to do first is put on some floating line and the new reel and get that set up. This is the reel that we're going to be using on the new installation here on the fly pole. I call this the Ozark Gold fly reel. It's available in our store at a really great price, and I like it because it's a very compact little reel. It's going to be just right for the type of fishing we're going to do here in the Ozarks. Smallmouth bass, largemouth bass, panfish, trout, maybe even do a little carp and sucker fishing with it. So we might catch some bigger fish. It's got some nice little adjustments here. This one here just turns on the detent or turns it off, so it's silent. This one here lets it free run back and forth, or puts a stop so it won't reel backwards. So real nice little reel, and we're going to set this up now with some 6 fly line. This is the fly line that we're going to use. This is a size 6 floating fly line that on the pole it said this is the size that we need. Now I have this stocked in our store also, and the main reason is because I went downtown and it costs just about as much for a new spool of fly line as it does for a complete cheap fly outfit. And I just thought that's not right. So I went shopping around and I found this fly line, stocked it in our store for a real reasonable price, and I've got quite a few sizes of the floating fly line. So this is what we're going to be installing here on the reel today. Now on the end of the fly line, what we're going to do is tie on some tapered leader. The idea of tapered leader is they come in 9-foot lengths, and this is a size 5X tapered leader that I have picked out for the size fly line that I'm going to use and the size tippet that I'm going to tie on the end of the leader. The leader has a pretty thick end on one end that you tie off to your fly line. If you notice, the fly line is kind of thick and it's floating fly line, so this leader will match up to that fly line pretty good and tie onto it. And then over the 9-foot length, it tapers down to a smaller size, and we're going to tie that onto our tippet. And usually on tippet and small Ozark streams, I like to use either 4-pound or 2-pound tippet, which can just be regular monofilament fishing line. But this tapered leader gives the transition from the thicker floating fly line down to your tippet, so that your line lays out real nice on the water as you flip it out there. So we'll see how that works a little bit later, but right now we'll take a look at how to put this all together. Now, when I put line on any reel, I really like to just line it out in a wide open area somewhere, roll it out so that it comes back onto the reel without tangling. If the far end of the line doesn't have any resistance on it, like don't put a sinker on it, don't put a bobber on it, just let the end of the line run free. When you wind it up on the reel, it won't tangle up. And so get on the side of a street or out in a grassy area somewhere that's protected, run your line all the way out, and then put it on the reel. And in the case of this fly line, it's not on a spool, so what you want to do is unwind it carefully so that it doesn't tangle. Now, when we open the package on the fly line, we notice a little tag on one end of the line that said "this end to reel." So that's how we're going to set it up. Mount your new fly reel on your rod just the way it goes there. Just be careful to get it on there right and securely, and get the reel on the pole and ready for your new line. Now, what we're going to do to make this a little bit easier is we're going to actually remove the spool from the reel. So we'll just push the lever, pull the spool out, and then we will bring the line in to the reel. Alright, so we got the fly line started on like we want it, and now we're just going to start it right back into the, clip it right back into the reel, and we're ready to start reeling. And just reel all the line right up onto the spool. As you can see here, this 100-foot spool of number 6 floating fly fishing line filled up this Ozark Gold fly reel just perfectly. It's just ready to go just like it is. Alright, now this is your tapered leader, and it's a 9-foot length, but it's spooled up when you get it, like this here. And you can see these ends, the big end that you're seeing attaches to the floating fly line, and the little end attaches to your tippet. So that's why it's called tapered leader. It actually changes diameters from one end of the 9-foot roll to the other. Now, what we're going to do next then is we're going to tie the big end to the floating fly line, and they do sell little barbs with loops on them that you can do this with. I don't like them very much. They're really hard to use, and I don't really trust them very much. So what we're going to do is use a uni knot to tie the tapered leader to the fly line. Now, this uni knot is really effective at attaching leader to fly line. One of the reasons is fly line is got a little bit of a kind of a sticky surface to it. It's a little bit squishy, spongy, and the leader is monofilament, so it's hard and slick, and by using the uni knot you can really tie these two together pretty well. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a pretty good length of both past the point where we're going to make the tie, and we just lay them next to each other here, and then we're going to bring the tapered leader in a loop, and the tapered leader then and the fly line are lying together in the middle there, and we're just going to go inside with the end of the tapered leader, and we're just going to loop it around several times, both lines on the inside of this loop. Just going to go around and around, and this is nice because without any extra tools or equipment, you can tie this line, this knot, right on the riverbank. So now that we've got it tied, we just bring the knot down, pull it down snugly, and tidy it up, pull it up to a nice neat little knot there, tighten it up the best we can, pull both ends, and snug that knot down good, and that knot will grab onto the fly line and make a really good solid connection. Now all we have to do is clip off both the tag ends. Okay, so after the tag ends are clipped off, now we have a really good strong knot between our floating fly line and our tapered leader, real clean knot, and we're ready to go ahead and put the tippet on the other end of the tapered leader. Alright, now you don't have to use tippet. Your tapered leader, at least this tapered leader that I've got, comes down to about 2 pounds at the fine end, which you can just tie your flies right onto that if you like. But if you tie a tippet on, then you're not clipping off your tapered leader every time that you change flies. So a lot of people like to use a tippet, and all that is just regular monofilament line and the weight that you want. And it, you know, in my case, that's 2 to 4 pounds, something like that. So the best way to tie a tippet onto your tapered leader is I've got the tapered leader coming in from this side. I've got my short length of tippet coming in from this side, and I lay them side by side, and I'm going to do a double surgeon's knot. So all I'm going to do is push them together and make a loop. And I'm going to hold that with my finger and thumb. Then I'm going to bring the end over here that the tippet's on up and hold it with my thumb and pull it through once. Pull it all the way through. And then I'm just going to do the same thing again. I'm going to pull it up and hold it with my thumb and finger. Pull it through again. Then grab both strands on both ends and pull them down tight. Tighten it up. And there it is. And then all we have to do is clip off the tag ends, and we have attached lead or tippet to our tapered leader, and we will use less tapered leader this way by just changing flies and baits on our tippet. When I got ready to redo my fly rod, I ran into several problems here around town. First of all, I went to get some new floating fish line, and the floating fish line for fly rods is just really expensive here in town. Anywhere I find it, it costs almost as much for a 100-foot roll of fly line as it does for a whole fly fishing outfit. So I had to solve that little problem. And also, I gave my reel away, so I wanted a new reel, and I found a perfect little fly reel. I call it Ozark Gold. The ones downtown, the cheaper ones were just so flimsy, they were ridiculous and didn't have any settings on them or anything. And the better ones were just really, really expensive. So I found something that's really good, not very expensive, and works great. And also the tapered leader. I stocked the tapered leader because I was having trouble finding the sizes that I wanted. Now, for the rest of the stuff, like the fly rod, you can buy fly rods at any of the super centers or the sporting goods stores around. There's lots of choices on fly rods. And also tippet, just normal monofilament line works great for tippet. So I've got everything in the middle, the reel, the floating fish line, and the tapered leader stocked in the store. Take a look at some of our fishing products in our store. The link is here with the video, and have a great fishing day.